What's going on YouTube? So for every brand, they have a vehicle that serves as the entry point into their lineup, designed to get and hopefully keep customers that will buy repeatedly. For BMW, this X1 is the most affordable vehicle in their lineup, and it's packing the same styling and many of the same elements straight from its more expensive siblings. So starting at a little over 35 grand, is this a great crossover to buy? Let's go ahead and find out. Now when I talk about similar styling, I really do mean similar styling, because this X1 really just packs in that X3 and X5 style and just kind of miniaturizes it. So you've got all of those signature BMW elements that you expect, including your signature kidney grille. Last year this was refreshed to have a larger grille. However, it's still quite a bit smaller than what you find on most of the modern BMWs. Of course, you have both your X-Line and your M Sport availability. So if you choose the M Sport package, that's going to black out this grille for a more aggressive look, as well as the lower fascia. Now we'll go ahead and scoot over here next to the headlights. So this model actually comes standard with halogen headlights. However, you probably won't see any of them equipped like that, because you do have available LED headlights, which do have cornering lamps as well. Like I said, these are optional. Fog lights are also available. We don't have them on this example because for 2021 they have been eliminated from the convenience package. Now, as you'd expect from any BMW, you've got a series of different wheels you can choose between. This is actually the standard wheel, but it still looks very nice. This is a 18-inch contrast alloy wheel. You can choose this finish, or you can actually get a full gloss black finish like we sampled last year. And then the M Sport model does have its own unique wheel, and there are some available 19s as well. Now, coming up here to our mirrors, you actually have pretty much all the features on this one, since we have the convenience package. So we have standard heating. That package throws in power folding and auto dimming. However, for some reason, we don't have blind spot monitoring on this model.
So let's go ahead and check out this X1's rear design. Now, one of the best things about the X1 is the fact that, honestly, this rear looks exactly like almost every other BMW crossover. So even though this is the most affordable crossover in the BMW lineup, this looks very similar to the X3, X5, X7. So as far as what that design is going to consist of, it's going to be these full LED taillights. Every individual component in here is LED, including the turn signal and reverse light. And then if we drop down, you're noticing we do have some rugged black matte plastic. That's going to be for these regular X-Line models. However, if you go for the M Sport, it will add body color, lower body kit. And then down below that, we have some more body color trim, some silver trim, and dual exhaust outlets. Now, as far as your safety systems, you're going to get 3 out of 4 of them standard on the X1, which is pretty good for a German vehicle. So that's going to be forward emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane keeping assist, as well as auto high beam headlamps. However, you are going to have to option on the adaptive cruise control. But anyway, guys, that sums up the X1's exterior design. I love the paint color, but now let's go ahead and check out the interior of this vehicle before we take it out in a spin. And before we do all of that, we would really appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below.
So walking up to the X1, you will find a keyless entry system if you choose the convenience or premium packages. As you can see, this does have the brand's typical key fob. And then of course, to get inside the vehicle itself, just grab behind the handle and it will unlock. Alright, now taking a look inside of the cabin itself. This was just refreshed last year, so you'll notice a lot of those same changes, of course, will be present here. Now let's get into some of our different interior material and color options. So starting out, you'll have the Sensatec leatherette as standard. That comes in your choice of this black or the oyster color options. Now you can also get Dakota leather for $1,500. That comes with the same 2 colors plus also a mocha option. Now turning over here to your door trim, you'll find leatherette across the armrest portion, as well as above it is going to be soft touch along the top, and we also have some optional wood trim on this example. As far as our windows, they're going to be one touch auto up and down for all 4. Then checking out these seats themselves, these are 8-way powered adjusting with 4-way lumbar support, and you also have standard memory seating located right here. And like I was saying, we do have the leatherette seats. These have a nice realistic feel. I will say they are very flat seats, so they don't really have any bolstering on the standard version of the seat, but if you get the M Sport model, you have the sport seats, which have significantly more bolsters. Alright, so now let's go ahead and take a look around the material quality of the cabin. Being the most affordable BMW, materials are still fine. So you have a soft touch plastic across the upper dashboard with a color contrast stitching detail. As we move down, we have a large piece of this high gloss wood trim. Below that, we have more soft touch materials again with a stitching detail. You also notice a piece of leatherette that runs all through here and along the passenger side, which kind of makes for a little handlebar. I do like that look. And then off on this side, it is going to be hard touch, but everything does fit together in that typical BMW way. Now to start it up, press the standard button. Now after it starts up, you'll notice something a little bit different than in your typical BMW, and that's the fact that we actually have a traditional analog gauge setup versus the live cockpit professional gauges you find in most of the other models. That's actually not going to be available on the X1, so this is the setup you'll always get. That being said, information down here at the bottom is reconfigurable. Now in addition to that though, you have a head-up display up here at the top if you choose the premium package, and it is nice and vivid. Now coming back to the steering wheel, of course we have electric power assisted steering and a nice leather wrapped steering wheel. The wheel itself is going to be manual tilt and telescoping, and you can also option on heating, which is located right there. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check the interior storage, because this is a relatively small vehicle. So BMW has really pushed down this console area to give it a nice open and airy feel. You'll notice that your armrest, it kind of just floats above here. So when you open up this top part, this really doesn't have the storage in it. This is just designed to be a wireless phone charging pad. So what you basically do is stick your phone in this, push this back, and then it should lock into place. However, my phone's a little bit too big to fit in there, so before you choose this $500 option, you might want to check and see if your phone will fit. Now, underneath of that, you're going to have your main center console. This is fairly spacious for a vehicle in this size category. It does have a rubber lining at the bottom, as well as a USB Type-C. And we can stick our stack of coupons in there. Looks like they're going to fit, no problem whatsoever. Now up in front of that, we have our 2 cup holders. We have another storage area right here, 12-volt outlet, a traditional USB port. Now coming back here to the shifter. This last year was replaced to become an electronic shifter. So this operates exactly the same way as in other BMW products. So you're going to pull back for drive. You can bump over here to the left if you want to do some manual shifting. And if you choose the M Sport model, that will throw in paddle shifters. Now heading into reverse, we do have a standard backup camera on board. You'll also notice, of course, we have our parking visualization over there on the side for front and rear parking sensors and active trajectory. And then for park, just press the P right there on top. Of course, you do have an electronic parking brake located behind there. Now we'll move on up the dashboard to our climate controls next. We do have a standard dual zone automatic climate control setup. Of course, very simple to use. You have all your physical buttons located right through here. You also notice we have the heated seats. These are included in the premium package or as a standalone option. Seat ventilation, though, is not available. And then up above that, we have kind of traditional style audio controls through here with your presets as well as your physical volume knob. Now the standard system is a 7-speaker 205 watt setup. There is an available Harman Kardon sound system. However, we have the standard option, so we'll go ahead and give that a sample now. So sound quality of the standard system is pretty good. However, if you're real big into audio, then definitely go for that upgraded sound system, which will be more impressive, of course. I do want to point out something about the speakers. You'll notice there is no speaker down in the lower part of the door trim, and that is to maximize storage that's inside of the door trim. Okay, so now let's return to the main display. So what we've got on board with this model is an 8.8-inch display. This is standard equipment, and this was one of the things that was upgraded in the refresh last year. Now this system is still running the older style iDrive 6 system, so the software is a little bit different than what you see in the latest BMW products. However, it is mostly the same. The display itself is a touchscreen, or you can use the iDrive controller down below. And you actually do have standard navigation across all the models, which is a nice touch. You'll also find Apple CarPlay included. Now moving on up, we have an auto dimming mirror. And then up here on this specific example, we have the panoramic sunroof. This is included as part of the convenience package, which pretty much all the X1s will come equipped with. And of course, the front portion does open up.
Alrighty, now with anything in this segment, the rear seat is normally pretty cramped and not a great place to spend time. However, that is not the case with this BMW X1. As far as these space figures are going to be concerned, you have 37 inches of rear legroom, 39 inches of rear headroom, which puts it above the Audi Q3, and really it's not too much smaller than the BMW X3. So, I mean, behind your seating position, they do even have knee cutouts. I have about 5.5 inches of rear legroom, and my feet can easily slide up underneath the seat. Now, as far as the features are concerned, we do have vents here in the middle. You're not going to have your own climate controls, though, like you would get on an X3. And then dropping down, we do have USB Type-C ports. And if we fold down this center armrest here, we do have pop-out cup holders. And I do want to mention that you can option on the ability to slide and recline this seat, which I'd say you might want to go for that option since this seat is pretty hard, so you need to make it as comfortable as you can. Now walking up to the tailgate, on the X1 you are going to have a standard hands-free power one, so just wave your foot under the bumper to open it up. And this is going to once again reveal a really quite large amount of space for this segment of vehicle. You're looking at 27 cubic feet of space behind the second row seats. That expands all the way up to 59 cubic feet as a maximum, which is around 10 cubic feet larger than the Audi Q3. And once again, not too much smaller than that BMW X3. So you're really not sacrificing a lot in the space department. Now, as far as how they have finished it back here, if we lift up the really nicely carpeted floor, we have additional storage that's probably, I would say, 7 to 8 inches deep and goes all the way across the entire floor. We also have storage cubbies on both the left and right side. And in addition to that, we have a 12-volt power outlet and a cargo cover, and the seats can also fold 40-20-40 split. Now over here at your passenger seat, as you can see, we are going to keep a lot of adjustments just like the driver. And then if we open up the glove box here, it is a pretty decently sized glove box. It's kind of odd because this front part just kind of falls down and then there's a storage cubby here in the back. And if we're looking as to fit our coupons in here, I'll grab them out of the center console, and they do fit in that shelf pretty well. And then up top we have a sun visor with the LED light, tiny cracker size mirror, and we can also detach. However, we cannot extend the sun visor.
And there's 60
That's
miles
pretty
per hour.
good, yeah.
Yeah, this has a really nice pull to it. You know, straight from the line, just kind of builds power as you increase in RPMs. So this is a 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine, makes 228 horsepower, 258 pound-feet of torque. Especially the torque figure, I think, is really what makes this feel pretty peppy, because it definitely, you know, pulls. Like I said,
Yeah.
you have a nice punch as you take off.
And this is a very small vehicle, so, you know, it doesn't take a lot to get it going, and I think it's pretty impressive, actually.
Yeah. Now, as far as the transmission, we've got an 8-speed automatic transmission on board. It's a really nice transmission. Definitely shifts very smoothly as you're underway. You know, and just basically it is kind of a transmission that you can ignore in a sense, because it's not really an important part of the you know, driving experience. Now, I want to talk about as well the fact that this is actually a front-wheel drive based BMW, so that's unusual in the BMW lineup. So you have standard front-wheel drive and available all-wheel drive.
Yeah. And, you know, as he was mentioning, performance is not really a mission of the X1. It's more about just comfort. And, you know, I have to say I'm pretty impressed by it. We're hitting a few bumps, other than the seats being pretty firm. All the seats throughout the cabin are very firm. So maybe you like that or not, but I think the ride quality is good. It's a good ride quality, but you do feel a little bit just because the seats are so firm.
But even though this is not, you know, focused on sport per se, it does still have a little bit of that BMW dynamics when you throw it through a corner. The steering is nicely weighted as well, and you can see it's very fast responding. So I'm glad to see that BMW still injected, you know, a little bit of enthusiasm into it.
Yeah. Now, you may be curious about the fuel economy of this X1, and for front drive, it's going to come in at 24, 33, 27, and all-wheel drive is going to be 26 combined.
Yeah, and we do have an auto start-stop system on board as well. Well, we're not about to take off, but I'll go and show you a little bit how it starts up. Very nice and smooth. Does a good job.
Alright, let's do our airball and slam dunk for the X1. So, I'll go ahead and start us out with the slam dunk for this vehicle, and I'm going to say it's the exterior design. I think it's really a beautiful thing, the fact that this X1 looks almost exactly the same as an X3 and X5, and, you know, maybe a little bit less like the X7, but, you know, like, I think the average consumer wouldn't really even know the difference on the outside compared to those different models that can cost almost twice as much as this.
Right, and for our airball, it's pretty much the opposite side of things. It's going to be the cabin, because this is certainly an area I think you would be able to notice that it's definitely different from the bigger BMWs in the sense that it is less luxurious, but it also does have an older just kind of design to it, because this is an older product.
And, you know, let's go ahead and discuss the pricing, because obviously This is actually the cheapest way into the BMW lineup, so that's a strong suit for it. The front drive model is going to start at $35,400. All-wheel drive is going to be $37,400. And when I pull out the sticker here, we do have the very steep $1,200 for the paint on the outside. I love the paint, but that's pretty steep. And we also have the destination charge of $995, and a few other options brings this one to $44,940.
Yeah, and this is pretty well equipped for the X1 lineup.
Yeah.
There's not really much more that you can add to it beyond what we have on this example. So obviously that really positions this as a very strong value inside the BMW lineup, because many of the products, even if they have a pretty good starting price, once you add like the options that you want, they can be very expensive. So this, I think continues to offer really a lot, because it gives you that nice BMW styling, a lot of the features from the bigger BMWs, except you got a much more palatable price point.
Well guys, that's it for our in-depth review of this 2021 BMW X1. We really appreciate you watching this video, and if you made it this far, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because I know you probably enjoyed or at least found it helpful, and also hit that notification bell as well while you're at it. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.